What's going on, Blackish fam? I hope all is well in your corner of the world. I just got a notification. One of our subscribers said, you got to check out this new song called God Over Government. I want to check it out. It looks like it actually just came out a few hours ago. Shout out to all the love we've been getting. If you're a fan of the channel, make sure that you subscribe. We just started at the start of 2022, and we're already on the push for 500 subscribers. So it's going great. We finally corrected the audio. Got some major changes coming with the video. So, if you're a fan, don't forget to show that love. Without further ado, let's check this out. God Over Government.
They want you locked in your home without God in the lung. Don't want you looking up Dr. Sebi and Robert Malone. The truth locked in your...
Do you guys know who Dr. Sebi is? There's actually some truth there. I really want to run that back, but I like this already, right? They're putting truth into the world. I don't necessarily always agree with people like Robert Malone, who's really come out again being really anti-vax and putting a lot of information out there. Just because I haven't researched it myself, I can't say that I agree or disagree with his research and his stance on the vaccine and it not working. But there's a lot of information about Dr. Sebi. Dr. Sebi or Sebi, his real name is actually Alfredo Bowman. There's a lot of great information out there. He's actually, I don't believe he's actually a doctor. Funny thing is that a little random knowledge, Nipsey Hussle was actually working on a documentary to really highlight Dr. Sebi, and a lot of people say that there's a conspiracy, right? There's a lot of shadowy forces that are removing people like this from our planet, right? People that have something intelligent to say. It kind of reminds me, last night I was watching a video of somebody in Africa, and he was talking about his people in Africa for generations. They've known certain things about the jungle that we're only discovering in the United States now. And he's really big on saying, there's a hidden meaning. There's meanings to life and everything has a balance. And we just lost this over time. But in Africa, they've always understood this balance. And it's just really interesting listening to people like that. But, when you get a chance, research Dr. Sebi or Dr. Sebi. Robert Malone, I don't stand by. I'm not anti-vax because I believe that, I can't research everything. I can only research what's been given to me, and I have to make the best decisions I can with the information I have in front of me. There's too many people relying on me to not get vaccinated, so I've been vaccinated as well as I had my booster shot. But that doesn't mean that I don't support doing your own independent research and making the best decision for you and your family. Let's get right back into it. I love this beat though. It's that we will rock you. Boo boo. We will, right?
They want you locked in your home without God in the lung. Don't want you looking up Dr. Sebi and Robert Malone. The truth locked in your phones. They call the shots from their throne. These politicians and these doctors, they are not in control. Jimmy, uncover the face that the Lord created so it can be seen.
Oh, big boy, I like the beard. I see a little fade in the beard game. All right, bro, I didn't expect that. Run that back.
Cause they are not in control. Jimmy, uncover the face that the Lord created so it can be seen. Tired of the fake trending all over the place. We just want to be free. There's no fear of faith, this praise until we're hiding underneath all the passive threats and trauma that came from this tyranny. We won't bow down to the golden cow and do as it pleases. We don't care what they say, it's God who plays.
Wow. So I didn't expect something like this, right? It sounds like they're singing or whatnot, but what he's saying is it's God over government, right? Who are you to make these decisions on my behalf, right? I have free will. I'm an independent thinker. Now, don't force your beliefs on me, whether that be religion, education, or vaccine mandate, right?
don't understand how they put their faith in man. We don't care what they say, it's God over government. God over government, lies that they covering, innocent suffering. Won't let our freedom just crumble, they disappear without a fight in the struggle. They want us so sick and don't want you recovering, want you depressing and
Yeah, I mean, that is true, right? One would argue that there's no money in actually curing specific diseases, right? Cancer is unfortunately a huge moneymaker. Look at the Cancer Institute, right? Cancer Centers of America. So a lot of times it's better to medicate, right? And to treat you, but it's not to cure you, just to keep you. For instance, with like a podiatrist, they can't write you a long-term disability placard. They can only do it on 6-month intervals. Yeah, one would argue that that's to protect fraudulent behavior for handicap placards, but that's also a way of getting you to come back every 6 months, right? Think about that. If they could do this online, they could make it a much easier process. But some things, there's simply more money in the industry. Like, think about if we came out with a weight loss pill that was allowed you to control your weight or have better control or manage your weight better. Do you know how big the weight loss industry is? There would be a lot of people lobbying to not get that pill on the market. So they might be putting out disinformation, misinformation, right? However you want to call it, to try to discredit that pill. And the same thing can be going to discredit people like Robert Malone or Dr. Sebi. And unfortunately, our information has been manipulated. Our information is censored. I mean, they can't even decide on what they want to teach us in the public school system. So imagine when it comes to something as huge as a vaccine, or something as Dr. Sebi, if I'm not mistaken, he's from Honduras. There's a lot of, it's just like the guy that claimed he had a cure for HIV/AIDS, and then all of a sudden he was killed. It gets you thinking, right? It's always a crazy conspiracy theory until it was proven otherwise, right? Yo, run it back.
God over government, lies that they covering, innocent suffering. Won't let our freedom just crumble, they disappear without a fight in the struggle. They want us so sick and don't want you recovering, want you depressing and addicted. The prison they giving, not trusting decisions of these politicians. Right or left wing is not really that different, but Fauci in prison, they want you dependent on him.
Damn, he said put Fauci in prison. See, I wouldn't go that far because he's a scientist, but still, just because I don't agree with you, I study constitutional law, right? And think about the First Amendment. Even though I don't agree with you, I'll still fight for your right to have this conversation, right? I'll still fight for your right to be able to say these things, just like I would fight for someone that doesn't want the vaccine. That's their right. Who do we think we are, forcing someone to get a vaccine? And you have to understand it comes to what's the greater good of the people or free will, right? But isn't that always the question, right? If that were the case, have you ever seen the movies where, we have the technology now where we can predict when someone's going to commit a horrible crime, let's say a felony or above, right? If you knew somebody was going to commit murder, do you have the right to kill them or imprison them because you already know what they're going to do? No, we don't, right? We have constitutional rights, and they're protected. But I love what he's saying. Like, you really can't trust the government. It's really not left and right anymore. It's haves and have-nots, right? Because you might get someone to be in a position of power, but they're a temporary employee, right? Obama, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, they're a temporary employee that's going to be there for 4 years or 8 years. But there's other people behind the scenes, the powers that be. If you do, I'll do a video on this soon, but if you trace the actual ownership in corporations, I'm talking about big corporations, right? PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, places like that. There's only a few management companies that are at the top of the food chain, right? There's companies out there like Blackstone. And a lot of people don't know these. They don't know the ownership. They don't know who's calling the shots. But companies like this, they own Coca-Cola and Pepsi. or significant interest in those companies. And think about that. Coca-Cola is an umbrella for multiple other brands. So when you trace the majority of companies up the hierarchy, they go to really a select few that are at the top. So you might think that you have free will. You might think that you're making a choice, but it's still benefiting the same people. For us to change it, we have to change that hierarchy and almost invert it, right? So all of the people are at the top making decisions. It's unfortunately the world that we're in right now. And I mad respect to people that will protest and fight for change. I wouldn't necessarily make that judgment call with the vaccine just yet, because I don't have information one way or the other. But I can speak on a lot of other things that the world is disproportionately bad for people of color, right? I think young people have the right mindset where are they following religion? Are they following politics? No, because they're common sense, independent thinkers, and they want to think outside of the box. And I'll always support that.
Innocent suffering, won't let our freedom just crumble and disappear without a fight in the struggle. They want us so sick and don't want you recovering. Want you depressed and addicted, a prison they're giving. Not trusting decisions of these politicians. Right and left wing is not really that different, but factually in prison. They want you dependent on neighbors and sickness. Well, God is my witness, I don't need permission. They causing division throughout television. They coming for children and all the traditions. So get ammunition, prepare for the war.
They do come for different traditions, right? When the government deems something is not in their best interest, they themselves discredit it. And it's like, if we can't trust our politicians and people in charge, where do you get information from? And shout out to all the independent thinkers, because it's one of the reasons why we created this channel, right? Blackish University, Modern Day Griots. You might be asking yourself, what is a griot? Right? A griot is someone in Africa that would pass down information from one generation to the next. They didn't manipulate the information. It was the good, the bad, and the ugly. They tell you who you are, who your daddy was, who your mama was. It's like, your daddy was ugly and your mama was a hoe, right? And that's why you came out the way you are. But it's important to understand who you are. And we have to ask ourselves, how are we getting that information now? It's definitely not in the public school system. So, we have to get this information on our own through independent study and by channels like this, right? Blackish University, where we put out and we explore things. I might not agree with everything, but I still want to give someone a platform and give other people the ability to make decisions on their own. And I think that's the best we can do.
Not really that different, but factually in prison. They want you dependent on neighbors and sickness. Well, God is my witness, I don't need permission. They causing division throughout television. They coming for children and all the traditions. So get ammunition, prepare for the war. The revolution is in store. I'm waiting for them at my door, removing the freedoms to force, of course. Judgment Day is more important than court. I feel this deep in my bones and my court.
He said Judgment Day is more important than court, right? I might be standing in front of a judge, but I'm not standing in front of God, right? I'd rather take my chances in the afterlife knowing that I did the right thing versus just listening to you and you're threatening me with court. This is a temporary world around me, right? I'm waiting to get to the next world. I'm waiting to go with my Father, right, and meet my Maker, is what he's saying.
At my door, removing the freedoms to force, of course. Judgment Day is more important than court. I feel this deep in my bones and my court. I'm going home till the freedom restored, or until they put me up in the floor. Yeah, what they say is God will be the government. Won't let it any other way. It's God will be the government. And we just don't understand how they put their faith in man. We don't care what they say. A patient that's cured is a customer lost. People survive at the house.
I just said that, right? A patient cured is a customer loss. And our drug manufacturers, the high-end drug manufacturers have become basically too powerful because they have these incredible lobbyists that are lobbying for changes that are in their best interest, right? And there's so much that we can do, right? If they put together a pill and they say that this is $50 a pill, but you have to take this pill for the rest of your life. Think about that. That's more profitable than drugs. Think if you were buying a $50 bag every day. right? And who that benefits. You're buying the bag, you're just not getting it from the dealer. You're getting it from the U.S. dealer, right? Yo, that's powerful.
A patient that's cured is a customer loss. People surviving at the Holocaust, happening in front of their eyes while people just die. Stop them managing these laws.
He said just because it's legal doesn't mean it's right, right? The slavery was legal. Saying that we were 3/5 of a man, that was legal, right? And think about that. The people that actually wrote the Constitution, half of them had slaves themselves. All right, so you think about these laws, and it's like law doesn't mean that something is right, morally right. So sometimes we have to make a judgment call, and who knows? Years from now, they might look back and say that these people understood the truth, and they weren't crazy after all, right? Again, everything is crazy until you prove it otherwise.
A patient that's cured is a customer loss. People surviving at the Holocaust, happening in front of their eyes while people just die. Stop them managing these laws. Government want to replace all the parents. We cannot let them go child support. Whether this all is apparent or not, don't care if these Karens are caring or not. We gon' be one nation down under the cross, happening in front of their eyes while people just die. Stop them managing these laws. Government want to replace all the parents. We cannot let them go child support. Whether this all is apparent or not, don't care if these Karens are caring or not. We gon' be one nation down under.
Karens, for those that don't know, Karen is like typically a white chick that's got that little bob, let me see your manager face, right? That's a Karen.
This all is apparent or not, don't care if these Karens are caring or not. We gon' be one nation down under. If we not one nation under God, bringing the people together through music. Me and Jimmy never gonna stop. I ain't trusting no CNN, MSNBC, and no Fox. I'll get funded from this.
I tell people that all the time, and unfortunately, I had to tell a lot of family members this when Trump was president, and I study constitutional law, and my mom is just like, Donald Trump should be arrested, and I'm like, for what? What exactly is the crime? What would he be charged with? He needs to be impeached. I'm like, I have to admit, I don't like what he says, and I don't like how he says it. But before you say something, have you compared his policies to, at the time, Obama's policy, or today, Joe Biden's policy? What is his policy on Dreamers, right? What is his policy on dealing with immigration? What is his policy about the nation's security? Don't just hate him because his delivery is off. And I'm not a Trump supporter, but I'm also not a Biden supporter. I look now like, hey, how you feel with Joe Biden? Will you admit that they're fucking up? Will you just admit Kamala Harris is fucking up? If we could do that, we could be friends, right? I wanted her to succeed, right? As a person of color, VP, I don't think Joe Biden's going to be able to run again. He's going to be way too old. I don't think the nation is going to support Donald Trump. But Kamala Harris had a unique position to be running on top of the ticket next. I don't think that's going to happen. It's like, where the hell are you? What are you doing, right? And I'm hearing about a lot of drama in her camp, too. So, you got to think, if you listen to just Fox, you're in a bubble. If you listen to just CNN, you're in a bubble, right? CNN is going to tell you everything from a more of a liberal perspective. They do a much better job than Fox, I think, on balancing, but it's a biased perspective, and the news shouldn't be biased at all. They obviously don't like Trump, and they obviously like Biden more. And Fox News obviously loved Trump and didn't like Obama, Clinton, Biden. But what happens is you watch Fox News, and then you go on Facebook and social media, and you have people that you follow and people that you know that are all just like you. So you're bouncing ideas off them, and you think that that's the majority, that's the common sense approach, and it's not, right? Because for you to get a worldly view and an intelligent perspective, you have to back out and have a bird's eye view. You have to see all of the facts, and then you have to make decisions based on that. I think we really need to just blow up the Republican Party and the Democrats, because they're not doing shit for everyday people, right? We need a common sense, independent approach to politics that's inclusive. And unfortunately, that's not the way that our government is.
I ain't trusting no CNN, MSNBC, and no Fox. All get funded from the same people trying to keep us all in that box. Hey, I ain't doing this for money. I ain't doing this for no props. We gotta start holding politicians accountable, and that's
Yo.
we don't care what they say.
All right. I like this. Yo, he kind of looks like this cat Walberto I used to know. Let me know if you know the name. I think, is that Jimmy? Is that Jimmy Levy, the cat that's singing? Yo, I like this. Again, it's just something, anything supporting just independent thinking, I'm a fan of, right? Thinking outside the box. Don't trust these government officials. And that's not saying that I'm, I have my vaccine, I have my booster shot, right? I had too many people relying on me to not do it. But I do support independent thinking. There's just not much of that in the world anymore. Just common sense.
Just don't understand how we put their faith in man. We don't care what they say, it's God over the government. If we're not one nation under God, then we will be one nation going under. We won't get our freedom and control. So parents, please protect your sons and daughters. We don't care what they say, it's God over the government.
I like this.
Any other way, it's God over the government. And we just don't understand how they put their faith in man. We don't care what they say, it's God over the government.
Yo, one is not only a legal, but a moral responsibility to obey just laws. Conversely, one has a moral responsibility to disobey unjust laws. Martin Luther King Jr. Yeah, I mean, like I said before, just because it's law doesn't mean it's right, right? That slavery was legal, right? You could legally possess property. People were just raping women and children. Think about that, and no one was accountable. Independent thinking. Yo, if you're a fan of independent thinking, you're a fan of good music like this, man, show some love by subscribing to the channel. We are completely independent thinkers, and I always want to look at the facts before I make a judgment call. And we dissect all the lyrics, not just hip hop, but open word, open mic nights, spoken word. Yo, if you're a fan, show some love by liking the video, and we look forward to seeing you on the channel.